Hi, we're Ralph and Lahni de Amicis, your astrologers, and we're here for Planetary Calendar with your forecast for December 2017.
This is where I get to read Ralph's wonderful forecast. This exciting month includes fascinating aspects and a positive theme. Venus enters festive Sagittarius on the 1st, and on the 3rd, Mercury turns retrograde, throwing a wrench into the communications gears. The full moon on the 3rd is optimistic but goofy, charming but sensual. Beware, flirting will be taken seriously. On the 7th brings projects to fruition. Then bam, on the 9th, Mars enters his traditional feminine ruling sign of Scorpio, and actions talk louder than words. On the 15th, Mercury conjuncts Venus, so have those heart-to-heart talks. The bell ringer Sagittarius new moon conjunct 3 other planets on the 17th at the esoteric galactic center supports envisioning your goals and affirming spiritual connections. On the 19th, Saturn enters his feminine ruling sign, Capricorn. This is a big deal as Saturn's highly traditional imperatives, fiscal responsibility, structural improvement, and foundational strengthening, come to the fore. This feminine Saturn is the matriarch, binding the family together to ensure its future prosperity by embodying justice, loyalty, and practicality. This is reinforced on the 21st, at the winter solstice, when the Sun enters Capricorn conjunct Saturn. This yearly Sun-Saturn conjunction is the great standstill, when growth slows among plants, crystals, and animals. Happening on the solstice, which means the sun standing still, creates an iconic time. On the 22nd, Mercury, like a jack-in-a-box, turns direct, chasing after the sun and hopefully untangling any last-minute shopping glitches. On the 24th, Venus enters Capricorn. So if you're hoping for a traditional Christmas, this is the one for you. With Venus conjunct Saturn on Christmas Day, strength, experience, and beauty are all together. Happy New Year.
Yes. Very interesting forecast, don't you think?
I think it is very interesting, except I resemble the remark about Mercury throwing a monkey wrench into things when it turns into Sagittarius, because, of course, the retrograde does throw a monkey wrench,
yes.
But Sagittarius.
Yes, nicest of signs, really. Nicest of positions. But when Mercury goes retrograde right before Christmas, which has happened a number of other years, boy, does it get glitchy.
I'm saying it's been the last, how about 3-4 years?
I know, it just seems like it keeps happening then.
And so a lot of times what people expect or don't expect is that there's going to be a lot of returns, or there's going to be a lot of trying, an extra time to find that exact right gift, or, you get it home and it's the wrong size. You didn't realize it was the wrong size, hopefully before you wrapped it, but all kinds of retrograde things kind of flummox the whole shopping experience. That's why you should shop in August.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you realize too that we have 5 kids and 8 grandkids, so and then there's spouses, and so there's a lot of people that we have to figure into our equation. And every time that Mercury has gone retrograde, as we come up to Christmas, we'll have all these plans and all these ideas, and it ends up with gift cards because the plans just get glitchy because Mercury went retrograde and it's backing up and going, wait a second, everything takes 2 times, and it takes 2 trips at least to the store to get the gift cards even.
But at least Mercury in Sagittarius has a sense of humor about it. So hopefully the other people on the receiving end will also get that wacky sense of humor that Mercury and Sag can present.
And we usually do pour and drink wine while we're wrapping the gift cards, so, it seems to work
If we get them mixed up, that's why.
Exactly. But it's such an interesting month. 2 months ago in October, Jupiter changed sign. Jupiter entered Scorpio. And when the big guys, you're talking Jupiter and Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, these are big planets, when they change sign, it's a fundamental shift. And this month, it's Saturn who changes sign. And not only does he change sign, he enters his feminine ruling sign of Capricorn. So you're talking about the matriarch, a conservative energy, a practical energy. And so it shows that as we're going into the new year, this is going to become a compressive force because Saturn compresses. Saturn restricts. Jupiter expands and Saturn restricts. Now Jupiter went into Scorpio and is still in Scorpio here. And Jupiter in Scorpio is not the most expansive position. In fact, quite the opposite. I'd say Jupiter in Scorpio is much more about consolidating and focusing and jamming things together and saying, no, we're going to get all you wackos out there, all you crazy people who aren't paying attention, come here. We're going to do something together.
And that's because Scorpio, while it's a water sign, it's more aptly depicted as frozen water or ice, you know, so the iceberg contracts all that, what usually would flow.
Exactly. And the thing about the Scorpio energy is that it is a fantastic manager because Scorpio is about resources, about how you resource the resources of a group or a partnership are managed. And that's one of the reasons why you find a lot of Scorpio at the corporate level of people who are on boards. Also, you find a lot of them in politics because they're taking the collective energy of the community and focusing it together. So when Saturn goes into Capricorn, it now has Jupiter in Scorpio to reinforce that, you know, practical desire to get things done. And that's the thing about Capricorn. Capricorn likes to get things done.
And I want to mention quickly, since you keep saying that Saturn is in its feminine rulership of Capricorn, we use the ancient rulerships that assign two rulers to each two zodiac signs to each planet. So there's a masculine and a feminine. So there are modern rulerships, but the feminine rulership for Saturn is Aquarius, which is interesting because it's the only time where those signs follow each other sequentially in rulership. Usually, you know, say with the rulership of Venus, you know, it's the feminine ruler of Taurus and the masculine rulership is in Libra. And so they're quite far apart.
One's in the spring, one's in the fall.
But this, you know, Saturn gives that pivot point, you know, for the end of the year to the beginning of the year for the calendar is one way of looking at it. But it's interesting how that whole Saturn period extends over the winter.
Well, that's the interesting thing. The fact that Saturn rules over the signs of the first 2 months of winter, and in fact, you know, including the coldest month, which is typically, you know, February, should tell you all you need to know about Saturn. It's about compression. It's about pulling within and things like that. And so when Saturn goes into Capricorn now, there's going to be a sextile or cooperative energy between Saturn and Jupiter. And the aspects, the distances between Jupiter and Saturn have a lot to do with how the economy goes. So this will actually be good for the economy, but because it's Scorpio, it's going to be a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and Capricorn is also known for keeping a secret. So people are going to be consolidating. So first of all, with Saturn going into Capricorn, figure if anyone does any shopping last minute, it's going to be a practical gift. You're going to be getting winter coats. You're going to be getting gloves. You're going to be getting kind of things to prepare for the hard winter.
Go to that kitchen store.
Yes.
Everybody gets an espresso.
Exactly. That's a good idea, you know, or mitts or something like that. So
something useful, something practical that you're going to use all year.
Yeah. So once again, we mentioned that Venus is changing sign at the beginning. It's entering Sagittarius, which is a great position to be in during the year. But as we get, you know, Venus right at Christmas time then enters Capricorn. What this means is Venus is moving very fast.
Yeah.
Venus usually takes 2 months to go through a sign. Venus is going through an entire sign, Sagittarius, in a month. And this is a great time when Venus is moving fast to move relationships along. You know, you're in a situation with someone and you really like to kind of move things along and develop a better, you know, get connected to your community or get connected to your friends or get connected to someone cute.
Close.
You know, this is the time to do it because with Venus moving fast, personal relationships really just accelerate.
Flow. Exactly.
You know, and it's a great time for that.
If anybody's putting on the brakes at this time, it's not the feminine partner.
No. And if someone, and you can actually see that happen too, if someone starts putting the brakes on this time, it's not supposed to be going anyplace because, the winds are at your back at this point. So if, sometimes people realize they're going in the wrong direction and they do divert. Maybe they're looking someplace else and the wind's pushing them that way. So be aware of this. Don't try to force stuff at this time. But if it's good, it's going to go.
It's kind of counterpoint, though. Venus is moving fast and Mercury's going retrograde. So, you may really want to push the relationship along, but, communication can be a little bit hazy until later on.
Exactly. Now, we mentioned the 7th. This is the waning trine, 120 degrees after the full moon. There's a series of white circle days. This in the planetary calendar. This is a way of showing that there's a lot of harmonious aspects going on, and it's the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And in the middle of this is the sun trine moon after the full moon, which means you can really push projects to fruition. Now, the hard part with these types of trines is that, and these kinds of aspects, is that things are going so well that your really inclination is to take it easy and just go out to lunch, because it's just going so well. What's the pressure? But if you can stay focused on what you want to accomplish, everyone's going to work with you. You say, well, I want to push this, I want to go this way. Everyone's going to say, well, okay, we could do that, and they'll go there with you.
Well, I don't remember when we've ever seen a lineup of 3 white circle days, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, like that. And that white circle day, again, remember, is a way that we indicate that there's a lot of support for your endeavors during that period of time. Boy, if you can get all your shopping done in those 3 days, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yep.
But there's not impediments. There's nothing to impede you, and there's generally support from your ruling planets to help you along your way. So we had an aspect like this, like on the 8th, where we have all those planetary glyphs above the number. That means all those planets are getting along well with the moon throughout that day, making good aspects. And so you've got just about everybody represented there between Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and even Pluto is up there. So, like I said, you've got a lot of support for anything you want to move forward.
And when you have a white circle like that, it extends to the day before also and extends to the day after. And on the 9th, there's no white circle, but there's another one on the 10th. So all the way from about the 5th to the 11th is just this really wonderful time. So if you're going to have your company party, in December, you want to do it during from that 5th to the 11th. It's just a great time to get people together, to socialize, to relax, and people just feel very warmed by it, and conversations are going to go in a very harmonious way. It's a really lovely time. I mean, considering that Mercury's retrograde, there's a little bit to what you're going to want to get done.
Well, that's a perfect time for a holiday party or a way to, have a party, a gathering, sort of a checkpoint, checking in with people, and making plans for the future, not under any kind of time frame to really get things done right away. Yeah, but that whole period from right after the retrograde, on through to the next, there's no more black circle or black box days in the month. So, it's kind of a social time, especially with Venus in Sagittarius is a very social time also. So you're going to enjoy that whole month.
It's a bit of a bucolic time through the month, and then you get to Saturn entering Capricorn on the 19th. It's like someone throws a switch. Says, okay, now you actually got to do something practical. So enjoy that period of time. And one thing about the Mercury in Sagittarius is it's a mutable sign. Mutable signs mean it's about people. The mutable signs are Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces. They're 90 degrees to each other. It's about people. Well, because it's Sagittarius, Mercury in Sagittarius, a planet that is about communication, in a people sign, retrograde, it's a great time to catch up with people you haven't seen in a while. That's why it's a great time for socializing. Haven't seen these people over the year. How's the year going for you? What was the year like for you? How's the family? It's a great time to do that kind of stuff and to have fun and party, because do it beforehand, because when you get to the 19th and Saturn enters Capricorn, we're entering a much more serious time as we go into the new year.
And as an accountant, Saturn 19th, the end of the month, you're thinking about not only the end of the month, but the end of the year. Do you have all your ducks in a row? Have you finished doing everything that you need to prepare for closing up the year's work and starting off a new year fresh? So it's kind of nice to have that kind of little reminder. And then from the social note, it's, did you finish that Christmas shopping? And did you finish did you get in touch with all the people that you needed to get in touch with, or make the plans that you need to make the rest of the holiday season flow well?
All right. And then on the 21st, of course, is the winter solstice. And as we mentioned in the forecast, Saturn and the Sun are conjunct. This is the standstill point. So we're coming into an iconic reset point in a very serious Saturnine way. So people are going to feel this. It's going to affect them on an emotional level. And right after that, Venus moves into Capricorn. And the thing is that Venus and Saturn get along quite well. In fact, Saturn is exalted in Libra, the sign of one of the ruling signs of Venus. So when you get Saturn and Venus together, it's kind of like the father with his beautiful daughter. It's very much that connection. There's a natural, and the lessons of love are shared between them because, a daughter patterns on her father, and a father learns so much about unconditional love from having a daughter, and that's part of that lifelong connection, and that's that Saturn conjunct Venus on the Christmas day. But once again, remember these aspects go before and after. So we're coming in from a very interesting, very profound time at the end of the month after a really wonderfully festive month in the beginning.
Absolutely.
So if you want to know more about the forecast, you can go online and you can read about it at spaceandtime.com at this month's forecast. And as we wrap up this year and prepare for the next, look for our forecasts, on this channel and on this website, and have a great new year.
We wish you all good stars.
Yes.
Hi, we're back with another astrological minute or 10. And we thought we would talk about the moon and how the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. And because the moon is so associated with our emotions, we feel that kind of emotional tug, that shift happening, every couple, 2-3 days, because we feel different if the moon is in the same sign as our sun sign or opposite our sun sign. These are times when we feel the new moon, the full moon, the quarters of the moon, but we relate to the moon. If our ruling planet is Venus, we may be very sensitive at times when the moon is in the signs of Venus. We've got the moon in Taurus, we've got the moon in Libra. Women adjust their cycles to moons that relate to the moon relationship in their natal chart. And so we see this shifting, this kind of dance through the month as the moon makes its circuit around the Earth.
Exactly. And to give you an idea, when the moon goes into Aries, everyone gets a little more social. I've always noticed that. And everyone gets a little more rammy, a little more willing to kind of reach out to other people.
Outgoing.
Outgoing, exactly. It's a little more energizing. It's a little more inventive, you might say. And then, after all that, you burn yourself out a little bit, and the moon gets into Taurus, and you say, well, let's go have lunch. And whenever the moon's in Taurus, I could swear that all the restaurants fill up.
Well, and Taurus is also about relaxation and enjoying beauty, and you'll find yourself either leaning towards or making your best decisions about doing something that's beauty oriented. Maybe it'll be a walk out in nature, or maybe it'll be a visit to an art gallery, or maybe it will be making reservations at a restaurant, or maybe it'll just be curling up with some popcorn and the TV, because it's about ease and comfort and giving to yourself, because Venus is a very internalized energy, and so the moon in Taurus helps to bring out that Venusian energy too.
In fact, if you go shopping for clothes during the moon in Taurus, you tend to make good choices. On the other hand, it's funny how oftentimes when the moon's in Taurus, you kind of feel like going out there and digging in your garden and being with the plants, because Taurus is about the earth and the plants and being around animals. And many times people are drawn to that during a moon in Taurus.
Then, of course, moon in Gemini is just fun and flirty and changeable, and you might want to reconnect with old friends or siblings, or do things for short periods of time and then switch and do something else, because the quality of Gemini then reflects in your emotions. And don't we make decisions about what we're going to do on a day based on, oh, I don't feel like doing that today, or oh, I'm really in the mood to do this today. And
so, for instance, if you're going to plan an event where you need people to really chat a lot, well, do it when the moon is in Gemini. Now, when the moon goes into Cancer, that's the home moon. And many times we find that when the moon's in Cancer, people, they don't want to do stuff that's outside the home. In fact, if we plan a workshop and it's on the moon in Cancer, the registration's going to be a little lower, because people don't want to go out that night.
Unless we're addressing home issues
Yes.
and homey issues, so
But they might
that
plan.
could be.
They might plan to show up, and then they get there and dinner runs long, and they just don't show up. It's a very emotionally comfortable moon, insular
right,
moon. And,
right. You want to feel secure and safe. You don't want to stretch yourself out of your original boundaries. You think about the crab.
Right.
Cancer is ruled by, the symbol for Cancer is the crab, so he brings everything into himself. In fact, in a moon in Cancer, you might want to do a home workshop, like at somebody's home, or
Right.
you want to
Yes.
do it in your own home, or you want to just bring some friends over.
In fact, it's funny. America, of course, is ruled under the sign of Cancer, July 4th. And if you look at our most popular form of television, which is the situation comedy, it's all based around the couch, which is a very Cancerian concept.
They say the set dressers spend more time choosing the couch to set the tone for the whole show.
Now, when the moon goes into Leo, this is the heart-based energy. And so it's once again a great sign for anytime you want to do a party or honor someone, or during times of creativity, because people start coming very much from the heart.
It's a showman too,
Yes.
It's a look at me kind of an energy. So when you've got the Leo moon, it's not the time to be reticent to go out and meet people and shine. It's the time to go to an event or a party or a lecture, see someone speak, or if you're a speaker, to choose a date like that is always nice, because it rules the heart and you'll get a heartfelt reaction.
If you need to have a very intellectual conversation, you want to keep the emotions out of it, don't do it during a moon in Leo.
You could wait till moon in Virgo,
Better
because
choice.
moon in Virgo is very detail oriented. And if you have to get a lot of things done, don't schedule that day in the office, I'm going to clean up everything on my desk. Don't schedule that on a moon in Leo. Schedule that on a moon in Virgo, because you will be able to just see all the details and dot all the I's and cross all the T's and really get her done.
Exactly. And the moon in Virgo, in fact, is a time when you want to be able to kind of constrict your emotions a bit and not let them get in the way of your intellect. Now, when the moon goes into Libra, this is where you have to start listening to other people's point of view. Libra's about the partnership.
And try not to listen too much, because moon in Leo is often, well, but this, but that, and maybe this, and maybe that. Don't try to schedule an important decision on a day with a moon in Libra. And if your sun sign is Libra, that multiplies that exponentially. Or if you have Mercury in Libra, that's not the day to make a decision. But it is a day to sort of weigh your options and make decisions based on all the information that you can have. And if you don't have all the information, you have to be smart enough to say, I'm going to postpone that decision for another day.
It's kind of funny because it's the day you do want to go shopping because it's all about beauty, but then it takes you forever to do that. So make sure you bring along a very patient friend. Not a spouse, a patient friend.
Moon in Scorpio. This is another one of those kind of loner, internalized kind of moons, but it's a really good day to kind of find out the hidden truths, the hidden issues, and
Hidden
you
is
know,
the operative word.
it's also a great day to clean your closet
Yes.
or, dig out the old papers that you've been meaning to get some information out of storage or something like that. It's also a good day to have a really profound, if you've been putting off that conversation or addressing that big, hairy element, this would be a good time to sort of get that out into the open.
Yeah, Scorpio is the feminine, feminine sign of Mars, and it is not fearful. It's a sign that will delve and dive into stuff that other people would shy away from. And so the moon in Scorpio is good for addressing things that you don't want to necessarily address most of the time.
Right.
Now, when the moon moves in Sagittarius, you finally get a break from that because Sagittarius said, okay, we dug in now let's look out here. Let's see what that taught us.
And Sagittarius has such a great sense of humor, so that after you get done the moon in Scorpio, you get to see the humorous side of whatever was unearthed during the Scorpio moon.
In fact, the Scorpio moon is the sign that basically invented the term, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And then Sagittarius says, hey, we're alive.
Exactly.
Let's celebrate. And so
that's brilliant.
Sagittarius is a very optimistic sign. So a moon in Sagittarius is a great time for any time of event where you want to get people together, to be optimistic. If you want to pitch an idea to people about the future, moon in Sagittarius is fantastic for that.
Of course, many people will want to travel somewhere, so maybe that's the day to start a little weekend hiatus.
Right, or even just go out for a nice drive and get out into the world. It's not a day for sitting around the house. Now the moon in Capricorn is the day in which you may have to tell people that you're being way too emotional about this. You need to look at the practical stuff. This is a serious issue, and that's what the moon in Capricorn is about. In fact, many times people who have moon in Capricorn are not comfortable with strong emotions.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that in that way, because as we're now sort of tracking through the path of the moon, and the moon went to Scorpio, and then you saw the sense of humor in Sagittarius. Well, maybe in moon in Sagittarius, you opened up your wallet a little bit too wide. And then in Capricorn, it says, oh, well, but now you have to pay for it.
Count the pennies.
It's kind of, the flow leads you from one to the other as these go through the cycles of the moon.
Now, when the moon goes into Aquarius, this is a very social moon, but it's a little detached sometimes. Many times Aquarius moons, people just seem a little distracted, and it's because the Aquarian energy is a broad viewer. It's not about you as the individual, it's that you as part of the flock.
And then we get to the Pisces moon.
Yeah.
I call the Pisces the sign of the old man of the zodiac, because now you've gone through the full cycle, you have the complete knowledge, and now you can just go to the mountaintop and meditate on it.
Go to church and do something spiritual, look within and look beyond. And that's the Pisces moon. Also a good day to go to the beach.
Or dance.
Or dance, that too.
So we hope you enjoyed this astrological minute. We know